The Jarekthal had been sleeping when humanity first discovered fire. It had been dreaming when the pyramids rose from Egyptian sands. For 5,000 years the creature slumbered in the void between stars, a living nightmare wrapped in chitin and cosmic energy, worshipped as a god by 17 extinct civilizations. Now, it was awake. Commander Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UHNS Indomitable, humanity's flagship and arguably its last hope, watching the sensor readings with the kind of calm that came from accepting the impossible. The creature before them defied every law of physics humanity had painstakingly discovered over centuries of scientific progress. "Size estimate?" she asked, her voice steady. Lieutenant Kowalski's hands trembled over his console. "Ma'am, it's approximately 4,000 kilometers from head to tail. Mass equivalent to, God, to a small moon." The view screen showed something that shouldn't exist. The Jarekthal resembled no earthly creature, yet contained echoes of them all, segments like a centipede, wings that folded through dimensions humanity couldn't perceive, countless eyes that burned with the light of dying stars. Its carapace was darker than the void itself, as if it absorbed reality around it. "We're receiving a transmission," Communications Officer Park announced. It's in our heads, ma'am." All of us, the voice came, ancient and terrible, speaking in a frequency that bypassed ears entirely and resonated directly in human consciousness. "Children of dirt and water, you have violated the sacred silence. I am Jarekthal, consumer of worlds, breaker of civilizations. Kneel and accept your extinction with dignity." Sarah felt the weight of those words trying to crush her spirit, felt the existential terror they were designed to invoke. Around her, crew members gasped, some fell to their knees, but she remained standing, gripping the railing of her command chair. "Open a channel," she ordered. "All frequencies." "Ma'am, you can't," Park began. "That's an order." Sarah cleared her throat and spoke to a god. "Jarekthal, I am Commander Sarah Chen of the United Human Naval Ship Indomitable. On behalf of humanity, I acknowledge your power and your history." She paused, letting her next words carry the weight they deserved. "And I respectfully decline your invitation to kneel." Silence. Then what might have been cosmic laughter. "Amusing. The last 17 species that faced me chose wisdom over pride. They lived slightly longer for it. They also went extinct," Sarah countered. "So forgive me if I'm not impressed by your track record of mercy." She could feel the creature's attention focus on her ship, on her like the gaze of a star turned malevolent. "You are bold. Little commander, what makes you think your pathetic vessels can harm me? Your weapons are as dust against my hide." "You're probably right," Sarah admitted, and she meant it. The Indomitable and the 600 human warships arrayed behind it represented the pinnacle of human military achievement. Against the Jarekthal, they might as well have been armed with harsh language and pointed sticks. "But here's the thing about humanity," she continued. "We're not very good at giving up. 5,000 years ago, my ancestors were just figuring out agriculture. They had no idea what a spaceship was. They didn't know what atoms were or vaccines or quantum mechanics. They were, by any objective measure, primitives." She walked forward, staring at the impossible creature on her screen. "But those primitives survived ice ages. They survived predators with bigger teeth and stronger claws. They survived diseases that killed millions. They survived each other, which honestly might be our greatest achievement. And you want to know why?" "Enlighten me, insect." "Because we're too stupid to know when we're beaten," Sarah said with a fierce smile. "And too stubborn to care when we figure it out." She turned to her weapons officer. "Lieutenant Martinez, you may fire when ready." "Yes, ma'am." The Indomitable unleashed everything. Plasma cannons turned space white with fury. Railguns fired projectiles at relativistic speeds. Nuclear missiles drew glowing contrails across the dark. Every ship in the human fleet opened fire simultaneously. 600 voices of defiance shouting into the void. The Jarekthal was right. The weapons barely scratched its hide. But Sarah wasn't trying to kill it. She was making a point. "Is this your answer? Futile rage?" "It's called a statement of intent," Sarah replied. "Here's our message written in weapons fire and nuclear fusion. Humanity doesn't bow. We don't break. You want to make us extinct? Fine, but we're going to make you work for it. We're going to fight you with everything we have every step of the way, until the last human draws their last breath." She leaned forward, her eyes burning with a defiance that transcended fear. "And even then, even when you've won, you'll remember us. You'll remember that we stood here impossibly outmatched and chose to fight anyway. You'll remember that we looked at a god and said no. That memory will haunt you through your next 5,000 years of sleep, and the 5,000 after that. For a long moment, the Jarrathal was silent. When it spoke again, something had changed in its voice, a note of something that might have been respect or perhaps merely surprise. Remarkable. Perhaps you are not ready for extinction after all. Children of Earth, the universe needs creatures with your fire. Very well, you have earned a reprieve. The creature began to fold back into dimensions unknown, its massive form shrinking from reality. When next I wake, humanity, show me how much further you have climbed. Prove that today's defiance was not merely brave stupidity. And then it was gone, leaving only background radiation and 600 ships full of humans who had somehow survived the impossible. Lieutenant Kowalski exhaled shakily. Commander, did we just win? Sarah Chen smiled, exhausted and exhilarated. No, Lieutenant. We just bought ourselves another 5,000 years to become something even gods have to take seriously. She looked at the stars beyond her viewport, at the vast universe full of wonders and terrors yet unknown. Now let's get to work.